Hello, welcome to day 1 of week 6 of split 2 of the 2019 OPL. I'm Nick Boy Richardson, and I am joined by 2 of my favorite men in the League of Legends community and my second favorite dog. It's Rusty, it's Spawn, and does Bailey have a handle?
Bailey Doggo.
Bailey Doggo. There you go, and Bailey Doggo.
With
Bailey,
the GoPro.
welcome.
See you, Bailey.
And in classic Bailey fashion, you've already ruined the show. Welcome, gentlemen. How are we feeling?
Pretty good. Not bad.
You're feeling better than pretty good, buddy.
I'm feeling pretty good.
What happened this week?
I went on a holiday.
That
was good. My first holiday in 18 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Had not been on one.
that order grind.
Yeah. I mean, and OPL and everything else I do. But yeah, mainly order.
Yep.
I agree. And then I got down on bended knee and proposed to Jenna.
Yay!
And she said,
yay.
okay.
She said, okay. Okay, I guess
Which
we'll
is, I
take it.
think, close enough to yes that it's legally binding.
I think it's not a no. So, we'll put
Score.
that in the win column. Congratulations. That is so exciting. Please, everyone in the chat, some celebration for Spawn. Rusty, who did you propose to this week?
I didn't propose to anyone this week. I've been busy on the grind, mate.
They're missing out.
What have you been grinding? Because TFT came out this week, but also I have you on Steam, and I've seen
do.
you on a couple of other cheeky games, but I do believe you are supposed to be a coach.
I am.
So is there enough hours in the day for Rusty right now?
Something has to be sacrificed, Spawn, is what I will say. And
I'm
right
hoping
now,
it's Avant.
Right now it's sleep. Sleep has been heavily sacrificed this week.
But it is very exciting to be back with another evening of League of Legends, another weekend. Looking forward to getting into it all. Of course, we have games. Let's find out what those games are this weekend, because the first one, as teased, Avant versus Order. Big game for the couch. Mm-hmm. Big game in general. Game number 2, Chiefs versus Bombers. Also huge. Legacy versus Mammoth. Game number 3, and rounding out the evening, we have Direwolves versus Gravitas.
And surprisingly,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw the smoke bomb immediately and say game number 4 of the night, in my opinion, is the game to watch, because we're kind of at the half-ish mark. I think we've played 10 games. There's 21 games in the season, something ridiculous like that. So we're nearly there. And if Gravitas does not turn this ship around, they are in real troubled waters. Like, there's pirates, and they're not the captain anymore, and all the other bad sea analogies that I can throw out there. It's pretty much do or die. And Direwolves are the opposite. They're 5th, I think, at the moment.
Yep. Yeah.
And they just need to, kind of the same spot, need to keep winning. They just need to keep accruing these wins against the teams that they should be beating. Because otherwise, they're going to fall out of that top 5.
I think a lot of teams, to be fair, need to keep winning, because the top 5 is something that
real
I
close.
would say is very close, even compared to last split, which was close already. One game between Order and Gravitas, I think it was, for the last spot. Order making the run to second, so this split even more close. That's a scary prospect for teams if they don't start winning now.
Absolutely. And you want to win because you want to get to the grand final at the end of the split. That grand final, of course, is being held at the Melbourne Esports Open, and we want to see you all there. So head to melbourneesportsopen.com.au/tickets to get your tickets to the event. It's going to be a hell of a weekend.
Best city in the world?
Yeah.
It really is. It's going to be a great weekend. It's in the best
It's
city in the
not
world.
the best city in the world.
I would say it is. I would say that...
I'd find if you say Australia. It's
I
not
would say objective and subjective opinions are 2 different things, and
Florence.
Melbourne is objectively
Paris.
the best city in the world.
any
Quiet for a
city or
second.
town or shire in France.
I don't like France. Anyway, what I was going to say is the other reason I'm really excited about this week's game, so today and tomorrow, is because this is the last week where the game is going to go the way we expect. After this week, League of Legends might be broken again. I don't know how many people have actually played a game on live at the moment, but I have some very strong sneaky suspicions that the current iteration of League of Legends is not going to be the iteration we see next week. And this happens all the time. This is the patch before we go into NALCS finals and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, Jat has just decided to blow up champion design, then flee back to shoutcasting.
And he left. Yeah, he's a caster again.
So it's such a crazy patch next patch.
Can I ask, as two gentlemen who have team experience, in this scenario, how much are you playing on live servers to prepare for that? In this, now, and how much are you just focusing on like this is the game that we have this week on?
I mean, none in team practice, right? Like all of the players in solo practice will be on the live server, and that's a lot of information in the first point, right? But when it comes to like an OPL week, you have to focus on the patch that you're playing on, and the tournament client provides that. So you focus mostly when you can on this weekend.
And this patch has changed as well, international, and I can't overstate that enough. We've seen things like Volibear support start to pop up, Kiana or Quinoa or whatever, Quinoa.
Quinoa.
Yeah, I think she's lost one game internationally.
Yeah,
Like,
wow.
I think she's got one loss, like at all, and it was in the NALCS, which we know is like an up-and-coming emerging region, so we probably shouldn't hold that against them.
Inconsistent. over there.
So I think like, and Mordekaiser, like we saw some teams completely ignore it last week. We saw some teams ban it. I think we saw one pick in
Parbu
total.
first picked it and went 6-1 in a loss.
Yep.
Exactly. So like I think like we don't really even know what this patch is doing, let alone what next patch will subsequently do to the game, or whether that like what always happens as well in my head, and you would be very familiar with this, is something gets minorly buffed, right? We give 1% attack speed or 1 AD to a jungler.
Yep.
So someone randomly plays it,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, that made them broken. And then they, because they're logical human beings, go, maybe the 1 AD at level 1 wasn't what made them broken, and they're actually strong on this patch. And then those kinds of picks starts popping up as well.
Right.
So I think there will be some stuff that will come out this week that will have been dictated from the live patch that people would have been playing in solo queue.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will not know until next week. And something else we don't know. I don't know why the dog has a GoPro attached to it. I assume that footage is going to go somewhere. But Bailey, do you want a treat? Do you want a treat?
Over there.
Hey. Ooh. Hey.
That way.
Hey. Ooh. Yum. Yum. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know if someone that's named after the Australian cricket team deserves a treat after our pathetic performance at the World
Is
Cup.
he named after the Australian cricket team?
George Bailey was the captain at the time when Bailey Doggo was brought into this glorious world.
You've let us down, Bailey.
You've let us down, Bailey. You're fired. All right. Game number 1. Avant versus Order. It's time to get into it. And that means it is time to throw to the desk with the Macca's Champ Select and Pulse and Egypt.
Thank you. And yeah, I don't know what Bailey's going to do with that footage. I imagine he put it on himself and is going to...
Oh, yeah, you reckon it? Yeah, you know, how does that happen? Do you reckon he
What do you mean?
lays it on the floor and then he
I
sort of
imagine
like...
so, yeah.
I reckon he lays it... I just thought of this. He lays it on the floor, then he gets all his 4 legs in, and then he like jostles it over his paws, and then he rolls on his back, and then he can like, you know what I mean? So it goes down his legs, and then he
Right.
gets the whole harness on.
Because if it's Velcro, then it's pretty easy as a dog, I reckon. But
Yeah, you
I'm
can just fling it
concerned about
around.
what incriminating footage Bailey's going to have by the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a grave concern. A lot
Yeah.
goes on behind the scenes.
Also,
in
I
the
actually
OPL.
have like just straight up food on the floor, and he didn't go for the food, but he went for the protein shake. So I don't know if Bailey's
Okay.
just been like smashing the gym right now.
I actually have it on good authority. Bailey's lost some weight, so maybe he has been smashing
Wow,
the gym.
yeah.
He's been smashing
He's
the
been
protein
cutting.
shakes. Yeah, he's gone right for the prize.
Yeah.
Smart. He's got his priorities.
I
in
mean,
order.
I could get behind that. All right, let's get into game 1. Avant Gaming versus Order 7-3 versus 4-6 so far. So, yeah, rivalry on the Rift and rivalry in the room as well.
Yeah, certainly is the case. Interesting, this game here, both of these guys coming off a 1-1 week. They both got a victory over Legacy last weekend, and then AV had a tough loss to Bombers. They got womboed. In, I guess the pre-game footage you saw there, Tommy on Azir scoops back into Mimic's Mega
Yeah.
Knight, slams him into the wall. That was pretty sick. And then Order on the other hands, they had their big wombo, a huge TP flank from Dream, but ultimately did end up in a loss there. So coming into this one on fairly even footing, and certainly wanting to have a much better week here today.
Yeah, gold, don't get womboed.
Yep.
So we've got the bands coming through. Will be Aurelia, Nico, and Yumi. And Order with the support bands, Karma and Lux. I guess Karma can go anywhere, as can Lux.
Yeah,
Do you even call them supports anymore? Tam Kench is a support.
I was
can
about
say
to
that for
say, do we get the Tahm Kench ban? And it is super interesting that already Order have banned away absolutely everything. So the support pool, Rusty kind of says it a lot of the time. There is kind of the big 4 right now, and they all have hit the deck. That does leave first pick options up and available. Like the Aatrox is still there. Sejuani obviously gets locked in, but this is a fairly quick draft between these two guys.
Yeah, Sejuani coming across. And it will be Lover's bottom lane coming through. So pretty simple stuff coming in from Order. And this is patch 9.13. So I believe the Tam Kench and Blitzcrank changes have not come through, as that's the most recent patch, which is caused some controversy.
It's also kind of weird, like taking like out of account like all of the bugs and the patches. Like okay, like all of this stuff is just happening. They just introduce like new mechanics. You know what I mean? Like Blitzcrank is now like an anti-shielding champion. Yeah, just demolishes those ones, and yeah, they're introducing some cool new stuff, but won't be seeing it here today. I did not quite expect the Nautilus lock in here from Aladoric, right? You do have big power picks like the Braum into the Zyrakan. That's been kind of the pick of old for a very long time, but not going to go down for that one in the bottom lane. And pairing the Camille, the Aurelia, obviously that one has already been banned away with the Sejuani, makes a lot of sense. Chippy's very big Camille player, but not necessarily going to be in his hands. Can be flexed with this jungler to the mid lane. So AV, seeing what order locked in the Lovers Duo fairly early, but they do still have some variety up and available.
Yeah, talking about variety, but it's just going to be super meta, super bog standard. Silas coming in for order, was Nautilus and Camille on the side of Avant here as well. So not seeing anything crazy really come out in the first couple of picks here as we head to the next stage of bans.
Yeah, and what are those bans going to be? Do we expect probably something in the AD carry position? Gunkrad played the Poke Varus last week, and Kaiser's going to hit the deck here. Do they keep hitting on that pull even further? You kind of want to put him onto something immobile, you would expect when you have locked in something like the Silas, where you're going to get that Sejuani ulti. You can pick up the Naut, you can pick up Camille.
Yeah, right.
All of these champions can just lock somebody down, and then you pair that with the Rakan. Rakan has sort of been moved to this weird state where he used to just be a better Alistar, right? Like he was a primary engage, hit your R, hit your W, wombo 7 people, and then you win the team fight, but much more often nowadays needs a friend to get things rolling. So the fact that Order have locked in the Silas as a response to the Sejuani makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, and Kalista ban actually coming across here towards Avant. Vladimir, Renekton. And yeah, okay, Aatrox, again, pretty bog standard coming in from Order right here.
Surprised he made it this deep into the draft, though.
Yeah,
that
that's
is super high priority. Renekton and Vlad, as you said, with the bans away, so maybe Chippy's got something up his sleeve. Of course, still can go towards the Camille. You have the gank threat of the Sejuani, so in terms of top lane, like a lot of people like to joke, haha, yeah, isolated lane, you sit up there by your lonesome, but jungle matchups skew it super heavily, and even in previous metas where there is like one dominant power pick in the top lane, if you do have a strong like jungle duo, like the Sejuani, when you pair with anything like the Camille, the Aurelia, they kind of just win all of those 2v2s. You can get away with leaving those ones through.
We did have the Zillion lock-in. Of course, Shock is on the field, so it's always an option. Actually seen a good amount of Zillion bans towards him after he first brought it out a couple of weeks ago. And Lucian for the AD carry. So yeah, the biggest curveball really is just going to be that Zillion into the mid lane.
Yeah, it just skews how the game gets played. Right? Like he can speed in his allies, he has the revive there, but Order's team comp very early was just go buttons, right? Like the Xayah Rakan. Dream is a renowned Xayah player, and Jake has had some, a lot of success rather, I guess, on that Rakan. So they have the go buttons, they want the team fights, and giving Shock the opportunity to lock down the big Pock in the mid lane does prove things difficult, but that's a response.
Yeah, LeBlanc into the mid lane, and specifically into Zillion is very interesting, right? It's like you'd almost want to pull away from, we're going to nuke down a single target as fast as possible when we get to skirmishes and fights, but we're just doubling down on that here Order. And I mean, of course, you could shut the Zillion down in laning phase, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's also a little bit more nuanced, where LeBlanc, she can bait and switch very well, right? Like, she is a very sneaky champion. It's very difficult as the Zillion to predict her damage coming through, because she could just distort over the wall, throw a Q, and then you're fine. Or she could throw, like, absolutely everything, stick over that one, and look to one-hit somebody. And it's like, those situations look very similar. You have, like, a margin of error of less than a second to make the decision, do I cast the ulti, do I not? So yeah, you mentioned it is tough to take down a single person, but it may be Swiffer looking for the flanks, looking to kind of pull them apart over the map rather than just looking to blow up Gunkrab on the backlines or something.
Yeah, right. So definitely response coming through, and aside from that, it's pretty meta. Of course, getting the Sejuani early going to be nice here for obviously Avant, and that with the Camille as well. So topside is going to be very strong here, but is also playing into the Aatrox.
Yeah, which is always a little bit of a rough time on the current patch. And yeah, coming into this week, it is kind of curious. We've seen some weird stuff from both of these teams. Like, they're the ones that have played heavy poke style already. It was the Jace, the Varus comp last week from AV. Order had their quote-unquote spear comp that Jake called it on the couch. So both of these guys flexing different strategies. But as soon as they play each other, it goes back to a lot more standard stuff. And I guess standard for each respective team, right? Zillion for Shock. Swiffer goes back to a very old school pick in the LeBlanc as a response.
Yeah, and as we get into game, we've got Avant's coach with us. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thanks.
All right, so yeah, start talking to us about this composition here, because we've got another Zilean coming out of Shock once again, which obviously we know Shock is very good at. But was this always going to be the case, or was this a response to what Order pulled out?
It's not quite strong enough that you can just pick it any game. So
It's almost there.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's pretty good at it. You know, if he plays maybe another couple of thousand Solika games on it, we'll get there. At the moment, it's just kind of solving some of the problems that you run into playing like a double dive comp.
Yeah, okay. And obviously that's what they've gone for. I want to talk to you about kind of like that pick in and what goes on behind the scenes. Is there like a little bit of a sigh of relief, you know what I mean, when Shock gets his Zilean in? Like, I'm expecting there not to be like, oh yes, like I'm sick, I got Zilean, but is there like a face he makes or like something that happens when it's like, you know,
an emotional response?
Like, yeah, lock it in.
Well, I actually wouldn't know if he makes a face because I'm behind them, so I can't.
Oh, true. Okay.
So I can't see their faces at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like quite that strong. I mean, he has a lot of other picks that he plays. It's just this is the one that's the least standard, so it kind of sticks out, I think.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, he's kind of emerging himself as a guy that can play everything. I want to talk to you about the team and overall going into the end of the season, right? Like, you were sitting at the top 3 of the ladder and unfortunately going 1-1 where the other top 2 teams got a 2-0 last week. You're now sitting 1 point below. What kind of is the lookout for the rest of this season? Is there a big surge to like, we need to catch back up? Is it all about the long haul? What's going on behind the scenes?
We're definitely aiming for finals and beyond. And I think in terms of like what that looks like for us in terms of training and stuff, just kind of going steady. You know, I think if you push too hard, you can end up a bit burned out. You know, the season is a marathon, and we're only halfway.
Yeah.
So has nothing really changed in terms of like how you're talking to the team? Just kind of like stay steady, stay standard. Like we're not looking towards specific objectives and how we're playing. It's like we're just staying with how we approach the start of the season.
I think the main thing for us is just to keep reminding ourselves how we play the game. You know, it's really, really easy to see someone else do something cool and be like, oh, we want to do that.
Yeah.
And you can try that, but at some point you have to say, is this part of what we do? Can we include it? Or is this too, like, do we have to change too many things to make this work? Because if you start, like, kind of loosening everything, you can end up
Fall
really
into pieces
struggling.
and
Yeah. So just being careful about the team identity and kind of like trying to refine that rather than just being the same, you know, being like having more depth of understanding with that.
Yeah, okay. And it's curious to me, like, are you the voice of reason on AV? Because coming into it, like, looking at AV last split, I feel like by this stage, there was a lot more going on, right? And you can account it to, like, I guess, like a couple of things, like the roster coming together, but they were trying stuff all over the place, and you guys have delved into different picks, right? There was the Varus last week. You guys always have the Zilean, but do you kind of, are you the leveling voice on AV?
That's an interesting question. I mean, it's kind of funny as a coach because people have these comments about what teams were like, but
it's from an outside
because I wasn't
system.
working with them, I don't know what it was like last split.
Okay, yeah.
So I can't really comment on that. But in terms of, I guess, experimentation, I'd say again, like probably it's that we have a better idea of what our identity is, and so there's less need for experimentation that you see on stage. It's probably like it's more subtle in training, you know.
Okay.
With the exception of like the poke comp.
Yeah.
stuff.
Cool.
Sure,
Okay.
which makes sense. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Cyclone, and we'll see how you boys do on the Rift.
Cheers.
Yeah, interesting stuff. That's cool. I like hearing about what goes on behind the scenes. I was kind of joking, like yesterday, casting the OCS, and there's always that that trope that I think annoys a fair amount of pro players when they play against someone. When you're getting to like the sticky end of the split, right? As I'm actually going to hold this thought.
Yeah, we
This
have
is looking
a
tense.
Spooks.
Chippy goes in.
Yeah. Has to flash, out of the chains right here. And more chains to follow, but he's already out of it. So good response, but depends where Spooks goes now because he's going down the river right into the hands of Miru. Throws up the permafrost, looking to chase down with the flail. Finds the stun. Chippies, does he have the hook shot though? I think it's still on cooldown. Doesn't choose to go in.
Level 1, just such a long cooldown, so unfortunately no flash as well, given that he did lose it in the gank. Doesn't want to commit too hard. He's just a Sejuani. That's a fight.
It's a fight and a flash out from Aladoric. Ignite did also go down from Jake here as well, but it is 3 summoners for 1. Obviously a win here for Order.
Yeah, 100% getting the better end of that one. And I say it every single time, playing Nautilus in a negative fashion, as soon as you lose those summoners and you are on the back foot somewhat, it is fairly rough. Swiffer has been copying some rough trades the entirety of this game, and that probably is just nature of the matchup, right? In terms of he wants to get this pushed in, he wants to play with his jungle.
Oh no! Oh, Jake getting caught after the dive in there. Good response out from Aladoric. He hit him with the anchor, then follow up with the dredge line.
Cancelled one of his dashes back in the E. If it was the second charge, like we came into that play halfway, and it's like, oh, is he dead? Second charge down, but no, had the extra one. He's going to get himself a reset with Dream as well. Oh, okay, no, a little bit of a fake out, so... If they get to push this wave in, that's a very cheeky bait and switch. They have TP on the Xayah, whereas Gunkrab absolutely does not, and Summoner is still gone, so that Vision of Tribush showed the Nautilus are able to push this one in, and that's a very cheeky play, and we'll get them some advantage in this lane. Yeah,
it's definitely just a nice little play here. We'll get them basically a wave and a half and deny maybe this can. It's a counter wave, so Lucian should catch up with the rest of his wave, but still, nice little play there by Order. Mira was also on his way to the bot lane, but he's going to catch him in rotation.
Yeah, it was spotted on the Tribush, and you saw Dream didn't really care about the last lot of CS, just wanted to get the wave in. It's much more important. It does lead to this scenario right here, where Mira was posturing down in the river, and Nautilus is there when Jake is just walking out of his base, so they would have actually had numbers advantage, but because of the base timing in the mid lane, Spooks is the one that ultimately gets this crab, which is actually fairly interesting. They have had some very nice vision control on the bottom side of the map, and honestly all over the map right now. You can see on Order's side, they have the pink ward in the top bush, so Tally feels relatively safe, given that he's already got himself that flash advantage. They have the dot bush as well, and AV, after getting punished in the top side and losing some trades in the bottom, they're struggling to get the control of this early game.
Yeah, just watching the top lane now. Both gone back and picked up a face, so pretty much just trading off right here. Nothing crazy in the top side. And it's pretty much, I would look at this one as a skill matchup, and usually skill matchups just turn into neutral trades, because if you step forwards, then usually on the receiving end of a full combo, so unless a gank comes in, I don't expect too much to happen in the 1 versus 1.
I would also expect, like, in this sort of matchup, it to be the Camille. If you want to take the 50-50, she would be the ones that were forcing it. This is a potential gank at the top side once again, though. Chippy's hookshot is down. Spooks knows it and is level 6. Junglers are going to hit in the river.
Yeah, both at the same time, but Spooks is out here first. Ultimatum is cast on to Spooks, but just trading blows. But eventually, Sejuani's just going to catch up with you with the stuns. First blood comes in for the jungler, Tally, getting chased down as well. Shot coming in from the bottom side. Trying to turn this one around. He wants a kill in return, but commits into a 2 for 0 here. One going into Shock.
And Spooks just gets straight one hit off the backhand, took the Hextech ultimatum, and out of the 2 versus 2, you definitely want the Sedge ulti. Unfortunately, was not to be the play, and from a very successful early gank, they look for the return, but they get punished.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're probably going to see that again in a second, whether Tally could have perhaps made it out because he had the flash. He could have burned that and gone back to tower, but was really hungry for that kill onto Miru. But yeah, 2 for 0 coming out here for Order. For AV, rather, onto the mid lane as well, no less.
Yeah, and it's kind of a consequence of this mid lane to some degree, right? Because of the way Swiffer has to play this matchup, he's been posturing using his HP bar as a tool. He resets, and then Shock gets time to push in the wave, and now this is when the fight is happening. And we will take a look to see if Tally can escape, but Spooks, he's just squishy in the front line. After Shock is gone, there's nothing he can do, and at this point, I thought Tally actually looked for the flash, but it was just the dash forward. Miru cops it, but ultimately Shock is here. He does have the revive available, so
would have been a dive regardless.
There was really like no way for him to be able to get out. Unfortunate case there, and yeah, get a little bit punished on the top side of the map there.
There's also another reality because Swiffer was right behind them as well, right? So if it turns into a dive situation, you chrono break one person, or not chrono break, chrono shift. Chrono shift, yeah. With the Zillion, and then like you probably still get a kill or maybe 2 under a tower dive situation, right? Like I imagine Swiffer with distortion could be able to do a good amount of damage onto that tower at this point in the game. Well. Also with where the minion wave was, so again, like what could have been, a possibility, but at the same time, if you play that perfectly as Aatrox, maybe you get a kill onto the Sejuani anyway. So just depends what you want to do in this situation. Good combo there into the mid lane.
Yeah, he gets a nice big chunk. Air Dragon is going to be the first one to spawn at the start of this game, but I think we're heading for a little bit of a lull. And I want to continue the point that I was making at the very start before that game happened, right? And it's kind of why after coach interviews, like it's very interesting getting an insight to what happens behind the scenes, because just being an objective spectator, you don't really know. And I was mentioning the trope in like pro player interviews, and I think it's actually trending away. But it's something that used to bother me a lot, and I think bothers a lot of pro players, is when people are like, you know, like the classic footy interview. It's like, oh yeah, like how you going? Oh, it's gonna be who plays better on the day. Yeah, sick, right? And then you kind of get to like esports, and it's like, yeah, oh yeah. You hear things like, oh, we just wanted it more, and it's like, man, what the hell does that mean? Like, wait, do you know what we were doing all week? Like, you don't know what's going on in other teams' houses, right? And all the practice that goes behind the scenes. So talking to the coaches and getting that sort of insight in how they like view the game, how they set up and structure their weeks is always very interesting because it's hard to gauge that sort of stuff from the outside.
But it gives context to plays, right? Because then you understand what the philosophy behind play is, or what they're looking for, or why Guncrab just got blasted into the bottom lane. Aladoric now in the 1 versus 2 has already used the staggering blow. Oh, the feathers were huge out there from Dreams.
And he had flash as well. Aladoric didn't think the last auto attack would be enough to take him down, but this is in a summoner disadvantaged lane. Once again, this is TP versus heal. Jake and Dream have found access to 2 very good trades. The first one got themselves a base, but didn't quite get a kill. Second time, they straight up double kill without jungler intervention. Spoots walks down, gives them enough pressure to hit the turret, and now Swiffer trying to deal with the response on the other side. AV may have just straight up lost it. No ability to commit to this one, and Riftchild is going to reset.
Yeah, okay, we can see that from the start and how it actually got kicked off.
So Summoner, yeah, is actually not there for Nautilus, so was just a spectator bug. Heal not there. Featherstorm comes out, goes over the CC, very nicely played, and fairly easy cleanup from the back of that one. Find the CC, lay the damage over the top, and goodbye Lucian.
There it is. Top lane order, looking for a potential surround here. Jake has found himself on the top side of the map, but recall coming in from Chippy. He does have the teleport, so it depends if he teleports back to lane and then Order may stick around and look for the gank, but I think Camille's probably just going to walk up to the top lane, given where the minion wave is right now, so it's just a bit of time loss here from Order.
Yeah, and also Jake has gone for the CDR boot, so it's not a Mobius Rakan that zooms up there looking for something. He will take a reasonable amount of time to get back to bottom lane. Swiffer's also base, so there could potentially be 4 members underneath the bot turret. They're not quite going to pull the trigger on a play, but AV do know his Featherstorm is down.
Flash into staggering blow, tanking the tower, and Guncrab should be able to follow up. Oh my god! Dream!
Gets himself the trade kill at the back end. Once again, no summoners for Lucian, steps just too far forward, and that's disastrous. More fighting in the mid lane.
In a 2v1 situation, Flash also burnt from the Nautilus, but Dream had the feather set him and knew exactly what he was going to do after the stopwatch. I mean, that was so well played.
Yep. No ulti available, but he's able to find it. It was looking like an error, right? It's 2 versus 1. Jake is on the other side of the map, and it's like, okay, like, don't step up, just concede some of the farm. I'm coming down there, I will be there soon, but he's able to make it. And so AV, yes, they had mid lane rotating, they had Nero down there. There could have been a 4-man push onto the turret, but as soon as the AD dies, all bets are off, and they do just have to walk away. Triforce now completed for the Camille versus the Black Cleaver on the top side, so trades up here could get a little bit more interesting.
Yep, first completed items, and turret plating falling in about 30 seconds. Recall, Nautilus found himself on the top side, and that Mirror also looking towards the top lane.
Yeah, both supports actually getting fairly active this time. Chippies.
It's going straight in here, has the ultimatum, remember, in comes Mirror. This should just be a dead Aatrox straight up. No way you can get out of that ultimatum. Good kill, but response on the bottom side, out from Order as well. Connects the chain, and Guncrab behind the minions, not going to last too long. Hits him with his own ultimate.
Yep, hits him with a culling. Oh, we've hit the game.
Yeah, that's not fair.
That's my ulti, bro. Come on. Okay. So.
Sometimes you just get called.
It's a bit of a bit of a bad time, but yeah, we're not quite sure what happened as of yet.
I mean, when it happens immediately after a play of some sort, you're gonna guess it's to do with an interaction, typically.
Yeah.
Or someone's key just stopped working, right? It's
someone's
usually
key? Just
like my
I wanted
E
to
stopped
flash it, I
working.
couldn't flash.
Right,
Yeah,
something like that, you know? It's usually like a mechanics thing.
Yeah, but not quite sure.
Instead of like, I need to use the restroom, please.
What was it? What was it in the LCK? It was like a toilet issue came up in like the lower.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm watching a broadcast, I really appreciate when you actually have a lower third and it tells you what's happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think there is too much detail, right? Like I probably don't need to know that, but I mean, like I'm glad that there's transparency there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that. Did they actually say which player? I think no, right? It was just toilet break.
Yeah. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Just, it was
that's too much.
Toilet issue. Just like that was it. But We're back
We're
in
back into
fairly
the game,
quickly,
so it wasn't a toilet issue.
Yeah, okay. Just a real quick one. But yes, of course, Tully died, so top turret is going to fall to the same fate order with the response on the other side. So
Yeah.
not quite sure who got first brick. I'm expecting it to be Order. They had more members down there, and now that given they have the gold lead, I'm pretty confident in saying that right now. So all in all, a lot of kills traded back and forth. Top side heavily winning for AV, whereas bottom side heavily winning for Order. And heading into the mid game, fairly even between these two guys.
Yeah, I mean, you could say almost exactly even.
Yeah.
There's only like 1,000 gold in it and the Cloud Dragon, but in terms of how this game is going and what the prospects are for the mid game, pretty much dead on even. It's kind of what you expect from me into this game, to be honest. At least what I expected, right? Like AV have been dropping a few games here and there recently. You know, they were very much like the top 2 team up until very recently, in fact.
They were tied until last week.
Yeah.
Is sort of in one of those weird situations. Not quite sure. They did spot him. Immediate back ping comes over the wall, so barely just doesn't escape the pink ward, but still is flanking. Nautilus ulti taken.
Oh, Swiftness used, and Gunkrab almost completely killed out just from the distortions here. Has to leave the support, buying some time with the stopwatch though, and Dream takes 2 big tower shots. In comes Miru. Chippy's here as well. Tags Spooks with the prison, and Shock is above them. This could go real bad very quickly. Here comes the ultimatum. That's a bit of a scrum right here into the jungle. Dreams flashes away. He's still alive. Shock looking to follow after. Can't get the bomb out. And Tally trading off against Miru. He's going to chase down Sejuani. Shock getting turned around. They're going to wait out the ultimate right here before finishing them off. And that was an absolute disaster out from AV.
Yeah, it looked like the perfect flank, but Tally goes from 0-2 to 3-2 off the back end. Order, they dive the turret. Look to lose the fight. There was a moment where I'm like, I actually do not know who's going to come out ahead, but flash forwards from the Aatrox, completely turning this one around, and from dead even, 2,000 gold lead props up out of nowhere.
I mean, the surround looked great from AV, right?
Yeah.
You're in a jungle situation. Zillion's like, I've got double bombs ready to go. Everyone gets caught in the choke point, but what we saw in our mind's eye didn't actually happen, and we can actually see where this started off. Aldrich buying a lot of time with that stopwatch.
Yeah, very nice, and we do see the complete collapse from everyone. Big things that have already happened. Dream didn't Featherstorm any of the turret shots, so is incredibly low, but does have it for when Chippy's lands. Zillion is off the backside, just split off from the rest of the guys. Actually looked for a flash chrono shift to save a teammate there, not able to quite find it. Yes, he dies off the backside, but largely irrelevant in the course of the major fight. And there's the last triple kill, so Aatrox with a very nice cleanup, and Order walking away now. The Aatrox is scary out of nowhere. Swift is 2-0 already, and we've seen the gold lead in the bottom side. Zaya hitting that 2-item spike fairly soon. These are all of their carries really coming online.
Yeah, and again, kind of out of nowhere, as you just said. He was just off the back of that fight. Herald did also just get picked up in the background, though, and has now been placed down into the bottom lane here from AV. So this could be a potential swing. There's only the Aatrox defending. Sejuani's coming down with the minion wave. So this should be a good little influx of gold here, pretty much directly onto Chippies. I doubt Sejuani's going to come down and say, that's my gold. So yeah, 300 over to Chippies, which is going to be nice. And it's actually built up a pretty healthy advantage, 1,300 over the Aatrox.
Fairly similar lead, like on the inverse of the 80 carries, right? And it's fairly even. You do kind of, at least heading into mid-game, probably favor the Camille. But it's one of those weird interactions where you look at a Bruiser, give them a bunch of gold, they can solo out an 80 carry every day of the week. But the fact that Camille really has, like, the one button. She's known as one of the best side laners at flanking at a team fight. Her team fight potential is super high, but when Dream has Featherstorm available, it does make your job a little bit harder. Tally, does he respect it? And the answer is yes. Ward in the lane would have spotted any pressure that he looked to commit further. In Order, speaking of pressure, they really want this mid turret. Miru's going to rotate over, as is Chippies, but do they have enough time?
Again, culling coming through from Silas. Fantastic. Yeah, clears that minion wave though, but there's a response from AV, so Order, see if they stick around, probably not. I mean, AV can pretty much just diffuse this minion wave as soon as it hits. Now again, we're in a bit of a lull. Next Dragon, it's going to be 45 seconds with the Cloud Dragon, Baron up in 1 minute, but probably won't be contested. Vision will be, but probably won't see a Baron contest for another, 3-4 minutes.
It's just like Order want to open up the map, right? They have the LeBlanc, they have the Silas, the Rakan, they want all of these tools to have space to look for fights. In Chokes, we saw that last team fight, incredibly good. AV no slouches in their own right, they have the Zillion, the Nautilus, so 50-50 team fights I feel like are the way. Whoever gets the best engage will probably come out better off, and opening up the map for Order gives them access to new avenues, and that's why they were spending so much time in the mid lane, right? Swiffer could have just stayed top. He could just be trading waves with the Zillion. It is hard, but he probably could have made progress with pressure from Spooks, given that Mira was on the other side of the map, but they continually look to pressure that towards the mid lane instead, and a recall timing out of Gunkrab and Aladoric is actually going to give them access to the turret. So 2 for 2 now traded. Next Dragon is alive. Not for too long, but it is only an air. Stacking them feels nice, but I would prefer some other things.
Yeah, for sure. Zaya is quite big now, though. He's just picked up second item. That's something to keep a note of, because Gunkrab is basically a full item behind at this point.
Also, it's a champion that spikes earlier on in the game, right? So
yeah.
When you look at AD carry leads, like this matchup, you sort of expect the Lucian to be ahead, at least looking at the AD carries in isolation, and it's like he wants to get to his second item, the Essence Reaver or the Cleaver, whichever one he goes for. Essence Reaver is most likely, but Dream being ahead means that he's stronger right now and is also just going to get infinitely stronger as the game progresses, so very good situation for Order's AD carry, and Gunkrab has somewhat of a mountain to climb out of right now, sitting 1-4 in the Lucian, struggling to remain relevant on the damage charts this game.
Yep, sometimes games will just be like that.
Does have a Zillion though.
Does have a Zillion,
That feels
yeah.
very good as an AD carry.
Yeah, it does. I feel like we haven't really seen the full potential of a Zillion ultimate in a team fight yet, but it's really just that thing that will just come online, you know, in that crucial situation. It's just like, and your big carry's just got a second life.
Yeah.
But it's just with Guardian Angel the same thing, right? Like, sometimes you can die in a really awkward position, and it's just like, okay, well, now it's a significantly less good ultimate.
It's one of those things that's like feast or famine. It seems like the most broken ability in the game, or you can flash, try and ulti your teammate, be split off between 4, and have to ulti yourself, and it's like, I wish I didn't even press the button. Like,
exactly.
It doesn't do anything for me. The one thing that Shock absolutely does offer to this composition, though, is like the Anivia sort of stuff, the stalling that comes out. He just eats waves in the side lanes, and if you take a look at Order's comp, they don't have a beefy front line. Sylas and Aatrox are kind of it. They're both off tanks at best. Tally doing much more in the tankiness department this game, but he's dealing with chippies in the side lane. So in terms of stalling this game out, AV should be pretty good to be in this situation, right? It's hard to do Baron against a Zillion. It's hard to push against a Zillion. And when you look at Order's comp, the fact that they rolled the RNG, got double Mountain, they didn't get Infernals to make fights easier. They didn't get Mountains to make Baron easier. So it is really difficult for them to progress this game. And you kind of see that right now. This is a fight, though. That's a dive.
Yeah, trying to get the complete lockdown on the CC, but he will get the ultimate off, buying time for the teleport. Ooh, flash away. Order will probably just take this one, but AV, everybody is teleporting into the top lane, and all of a sudden, literally the entire map has arrived, but they all kind of landed on their own side, so they all looked at each other and was like, maybe not.
Really menacingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody dies at the end of the day. As you mentioned, TP's come through from the top laners. There was potential for that to continue further. Swiffer looked at the play, saw the TP, and was like, if he got one extra auto attack onto the turret, chippies would not have landed, but didn't quite have enough damage, and that could have swung the tides there. Aladoric fishing for the LeBlanc, but gets spotted out by Jake on the Rakan, so...
As it was just the fastest de-escalation of all time.
Yeah.
But still, we'll get the tower, and also got the flash out of Shock, which is really nice, actually, as we're in now the lead up to Baron, and also an Infernal Dragon in 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay, so something big on the board for the teams to fight over in a couple of minutes. You see Blue Orb in the pit, so AV happy to go for a fairly significant reset here. This is all 5 members. They know the Baron hasn't been started up, and they see the AD carry in mid lane. Can kind of have that little bit extra respite as they're tracking upwards in the item department, and I mention it, 2 items now completed on the Aatrox, on the LeBlanc, and almost a third there for Dream. So all of these carries on Order, I mentioned they were coming online earlier. They're hitting almost their strongest points as we track on into this one. 3 items for a crit 80 carry is monstrous. Aladoric has no idea anyone's there.
Well, now he does, but that was Miru checking the brush first, and Sejuani, very big, has the gargoyles up, tanking all this damage, and has the Zillion ultimate on top of it, buying time for chippies to come into the fight potentially. Flash forwards and flash away. Big assassinate out from Swiffer. The Clone War just hanging out as Ty's now chasing down Miru once again, gets the knock-up, dashes away. Lufar forwards and the return. The re-engage shutdown coming in from Shock, and looking forward to second now. Jake flies into Chippies, who comes in for the flank, but the team isn't here just yet for AV. Throws out the Featherstorm, blocking the potential push here from AV. And after all that, it's just a 1-for-1. Swiffer looking for more, jumps away from the bomb.
And somehow AV actually hold on. That was the perfect location for Shock to just plant bombs. Time after time, just lands them over the entire Order lineup. And yes, Swiffer got the one hit immediately onto Gunkrab, but really struggled to take that one any further. So Vision traded back and forth. AV hold on what looked like a disastrous start to the fight, and nobody gets the Baron at the end of the day.
You know, we were talking so much earlier about it's whoever gets the first engage. Well, we'll see this again right here, but these fights are so stringy, right? They go on for like 30, 40 seconds.
And something I didn't even think about before is Silas stealing the Zillion ult. That's a resurrection from Shock, so he brings Miro up alive. All of the damage has gone into the Sejuani, and that is the one hit. But now Spooks is trying to keep Tally alive. He's the sacrificial lamb, goes forward, and the stall from the Zillion, the stall from the Sejuani is super good. So that's another double bomb from Shock. Alidoric flash commits over the wall, and it's one of these team fights where you mentioned it, it's stringy, it's back and forth. They're just trading blows, going to each other's territory, and then backing away. One of those weird situations, and ended up fairly even there.
Did Spooks actually get a Zillion ultimate off on that fight?
Yeah, he put it on Aatrox,
right,
and then it ran out. He got bombed, he got Sedge ulted, and then it ran out. So no revive coming through, bit of a sad time. Still,
super strong that he has the ability to do so.
Ooh,
Jake, flash forward, gets the charm onto the bottom lane right here. Reaction of the Zillion ultimate, Alidoric kiting away, but Shock is just gonna get killed on the spot. Miro Chippy's backing away. But Order in a great situation. They got the track down, the chain comes out, and the follow-up CC. They'll take down the jungler and the mid lane. Order probably looking back towards the Baron now.
Yeah, that's the pick they needed. Jake starts it off, double knock-up, and they chase down onto Miro. They chase for nobody else. They want the smite off the map. 30 seconds and no contest, so after the last team fight, they went back. It looked like Order actually secured the Dragon, but now looking at the scoreboard, AV must have stolen it, and they look at the Baron. They definitely want to take that one down, and Order absolutely will do so.
Yeah, unfortunately just walking into the brush and just getting popped right there, but Jake has been on point with these initiates on this Rakan all game.
Yeah, playing goalie, sitting behind the wall. They know that AV has absolutely no vision down there. Revive comes through onto himself, but fairly hard to do anything from that position. Chippy's arrives at the play, but he's not going to dive any backlines right now. There's nothing he can do to salvage this one. Gunkrab realistically isn't dishing out damage to the rest of the Orna lineup, so Sejuani, it's a big peak, but not for very long, and easy cleanup.
Yeah, annoying amount of chase here as well from Order.
Yeah.
You know, you get that first kill, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get a second one, and burning at least a couple flashes. And you can see on the side of AV, no one has a flash. Shock is about to come up in a couple seconds from now. Has now just got his flash, but nobody else does. In contrast, Swiffer has his, Dream has his. So yeah, Baron now on the side of Order. Another Infernal Dragon coming up in around 3 minutes from now, but expect at least a push. Ping's going onto the bottom tower.
Yeah, and I was curious to see Spooks just goes in, okay.
Yeah, he goes in, also gets pulled in at the same time, but here comes Dream and Jake, gets the knock-up onto Miru, but got the gargoyles running. Throws out the ultimate there from Sejuani, and Shock basically clogging up this choke point.
Yeah, they see the Zillion and do have to back away. Almost took down the Sejuani, and that is the entire front line there for AV, so it could have been a big pick. Is enough to dissuade them, though, with the bombs, and looks like the turret is just going to be the death at the back end of this one. I was curious to see what Order did with the Baron. They could go for a 1-3-1 and start setting up. They do have double side laners. LeBlanc fares very well, but they're looking at it. The matchup into the Zillion is hard to make progress, so instead they're just looking for the 5-man commit, and they've been playing around the Zillion revive fairly well this game, right?
Yeah.
They have multi-layered engage. They can just steal it for themselves. They say yoink and bring one of their own carries up and available, so hasn't looked like a problem so far, and they're looking to continue that trend. Now 6, almost 7,000 gold lead. Still 5 members maintain the Baron, so in a very good position to start knocking on the door of the base here.
Yeah, of course, as you said, that's kind of a Nivea effect is definitely showing its head here as Shock is just clearing out these minion waves. Basically, where there aren't members to buff up minions, the wave is already dead. You can see top lane's being pushed all the way to tower. That was a slow push. Mid lane as well. So kind of frustrating to even get this in the turret into the top lane. But still, Order in a very commanding situation right now. And even if they play slow, they're still going to get another Infernal. So yeah. It's not exactly a lose-lose situation for them.
1 minute on the clock, and they have gone for the complete flip here. They went bot side, they pushed in mid lane, rotated down, free turret. Looking to replicate on the other side, but Spooks may have found a pick. They have very good command of the vision in the jungle right now. AVC nothing on the top side of the map, and as such, probably will just be conceding this one. You can see already double get away from the turret pings come through, and nobody goes up to defend that one. Shock just trying to be as annoying as possible, but as you mentioned, 40 seconds on the Dragon. Chippy's pushing in bot side. This is looking like the setup for another team fight down on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, it has the Triforce, so might be able to just deck the turret here. Fine just dies.
Chain
Oh,
lands.
flash into Chain. Does find it. The lockdown is here, and tallies over the wall just to collect Chippies, but has the hookshot just in time, and AV's here to save him.
Saves his own life, but does he save the Dragon now? Does have TP if he wants to reset and get back to this fight. AV looking like they're posturing for a contest. Super valuable is the Infernal now. Swiffer over the wall once again, looking for a chunk. Finds it.
Ooh,
that's
double
ulti too.
distortion. And that was Ignite as well, I believe. Yeah, Shocker's just going to get away by the skin of his teeth, but with no ultimate, which I believe he cast on himself. Yeah.
Yep.
They're just going to back away from the Infernal. So that is the power of a LeBlanc late game.
Have no idea what happened to the last one, but Order certainly going to secure this one for themselves. And that's what I was talking about in Champs League, right? Like, Swiffer doesn't have to commit. Goes over, that's a double distortion, found himself because of the pink ward, because of the vision deny in that Dragon Pit, was actually very close to the Zillion, so lands all of that damage. Death Wish at the top side. They wanted people to come from mid lane towards the blue buff, but Shock, of course, reset, went from base, so they're not quite going to find anything as of yet.
Yeah, you just randomly dropped Death Wish on the top side. Yeah, I agree. Chippy's just kind of running way out of no man's land.
No flash this time.
Oh,
okay.
hello.
Sure.
Sometimes the enemy team just teleports on top of you, and what can you do? Mirror comes in, ultimatum in response. Mirror is able to tank a lot of this in return, but the Goggles was very late. He may just die for this one. Shock teleports into the fight, and Jake has also found them with the charm. Will take down the Zillion. In comes Aldrich from the side. Thinks better of it, looks at the play, turns right back around. Mirror will fall. Double kill for Dream.
And time after time, Chippies are just getting caught out into side lane. Way too pushed up, gets punished time and again, and he's sitting on 0 deaths. It's the jungler and the mid laner that pay the price. Order now, with this 5 versus 3, looking to break the base. They couldn't do it with Baron against the Zillion, but when Zillion is dead for another 30 seconds, this inhib is definitely going to fall.
Swiffer just playing interference right now with Chippies and Aladoric. It probably will just be an inhibitor yet, and back away here from Order. Pretty happy with how that one went. We've got another 30 seconds to Baron. Doesn't even feel like it's been 6-7 minutes since the last Baron, but here we are again.
There's just a constant cycle of objectives, right?
Yeah.
It's a push and then you reset, you fight over a Dragon. A push, you reset, you fight over a Baron. And it's just these constant fights that I think is causing this kind of disarray in AV, right? Chippies wants to prep the waves, he wants to make the play happen, set up, get himself a TP flank, but this is 2 times in a row where he just walked towards a wave, been caught out by multiple members, because you have to think about, I was saying they were looking for the flank onto the blue buff.
Right.
They're basically in mid lane. He's still pushing the side lane past the river on the top side, and they just walk through blue buff, walk in behind him, glitch through the matrix over the blasting plan, and able to lock him down.
Yeah. Now, is this something? Well, I'm going to hold that question because Jake is stepping forward to clear out this ward, which not going to be responded to by AV. They're all in a brush though.
Oh.
Perhaps waiting for a rotation. Tally's going to find it.
check?
He's checking. Checks
Finds
one
it.
right over the wall, looking towards this Aatrox, and now it's an immediate fight as the root goes down onto the AD carry. Miru is tanking this entire choke point right now.
Swiffer.
Spooks
Oh.
jumps in, looks for one, resurrect. Coming up onto Miru. The tank's still alive, but Chippy's into the backline. He's also got the Guardian Angel, but the rest of AV on the run now after losing the bottom lane. Swiffer looking towards Miru. He's running away. Shock has put the extra movement speed on himself, but he may be cut off here by Swiffer.
Bomb lands. Can he land 2?
Has the Q, the W, the E just came up, and now he's cut off. But the Zillion is very fast. He may just delay LeBlanc from joining the rest of the team, but he managed to get Chippies on the backside of that. 3 kills, and Order pushing right down the middle lane.
Yeah, Zillion might live, but he's running into Narnia. 20 seconds on the death timers for the rest of the team. Order without Baron, they still want to keep this push going. Nexus turrets are actually under attack right now. Miru trying to defend.
It's a 1 versus 3 for this Sejuani. He's got 5 seconds left on the bottom lane, though. The jungler goes down. Nexus turret dead. Onto the Nexus. Here comes Gunkrab and Aladoric. I don't think they've got enough time here. Spooks finished it off. There's the ace. There's the Nexus. 34 minutes, and all to take it.
And in very strong fashion, it was all about the team fights, right? They could constantly force these skirmishes. They made stuff happen. You take a look at AV's composition. The bottom lane, blind pick, they get banned like 3 supports, blind pick Zyra Khan, hard to deal with. They answer with something early game that, like the Lucian that they can stand tall with, but unfortunately I think that was actually a big swing point. The fact that their bottom lanes fell so far behind made stalling the game out fairly difficult, right? And then Order, they had all of this freedom. Swiffer, so many double distorts onto the backline. That last team fight was just telling of exactly how that game went on, and skirmish after skirmish, find the fights they need, that's a victory.
I don't know about you, but I have ominous music in my ears right now.
Yeah, same.
This is spooky.
What, do I recognize it? Is it like, oh, not anymore?
I was trying to tell you it was the ambient sounds from Summoner's Rift, but only the ambient sounds.
I think it's the victory screen.
Correct. I got it correct from producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's one of those things that you don't notice until it's only the thing that you're listening to. And you're like, this is real intense. But no, we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Sorted at the end of the day.
Yeah, I know. It felt like as the game went on, we started realizing more and more things about the comps. Like, oh, Zillion's
so
ultimate
many
is also
nuances,
my
yeah,
ultimate.
yeah.
Like, Silas was actually doing so much in that game just by virtue of existing.
Yeah, because he's normally, like, he's said to be like, blind pick Sejuani, like you take Silas, and then you get Sejuani ulti and you use it better than her, and you become like a better champion, but then he has a Zillion revive as well.
Yep.
And like the top side of the map started disastrously, right? Like Talia was 0-2. They get a TP towards the bottom side, they get a fight, it's triple kill for him, completely turning that game around. And yeah, it was super interesting stuff, as you mentioned. Yeah, we were like kind of learning on the fly, so much stuff going on. But as the game progressed, it looked like Order were just like gelling better and better. And the inverse was true of AV. Chippy's renowned split push, ex-OPL MVP. And like his Camille just didn't look like Chippy's Camille today. Got caught out multiple times, sped the game up, Order find the victories. And
team was often paying for it as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough from us. We're going to send it over to Nick with a player interview.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined by Dream. Mate, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very good. How's the dog?
Amazing. I love that Bailey's here. It should be here more often.
Disagree. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much.
It was like weird there at the beginning, bit of back and forth, but as Bryce said, you guys settled into the game as it went on and on.
Absolutely.
How did it feel for you?
Pretty good. I think I knew after we got a bit of a lead in bot lane that the game was going to be quite slow, and if I just did my job and just let my team carry, it's pretty easy.
There you go.
Yeah.
I said this to Jake last week. This is about the time last split that Order began the upward trajectory. I think it may be in a week's time from now. Is this the beginning of that? Because this is basically what happened last time, and it's just sort of like clawing your way back to the top.
Yeah, look, I'd say so. I don't know why, but we seem to always find a point in the split where we're quite unsure of how to play. And I think it's not necessarily patch-based, but we just kind of don't mesh as players in terms of communication, all that stuff, and you know how we view the game, because I think we all view the game quite differently, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I think now our practice has been a lot better, a lot more consistent. I think we've set kind of rules and things that we expect of each other, and the expectations are all set. So, you know, it's kind of up to us to just turn up and do our job every day. And if everyone does that, I think we'll be successful.
And so we were talking at the beginning of the show about how the next patch that you guys are going to be playing on is pretty different.
Yeah.
You said that Order, you know, all you guys have relatively different ways of playing the game and approaching the game. Heading into the next patch, is this something that you're looking forward to, or something that you're going to have to adjust?
Look, I'd say a lot of the time we're looking forward to it. When a new patch comes out, I'd say that's kind of why everyone loves League. It's kind of changing, and I guess people love and hate it for that reason.
Yeah.
It's always interesting, and there's always new things, and there's always new interactions. But yeah, no, I think we really do enjoy the new patches coming out, because a lot of our players are quite creative and they like to express themselves through, you know, what they play. So yeah, I think going into the next patch, we'll probably be doing the same thing in terms of our preparation and processes to learning. But yeah, it should be a blast.
That's a very diplomatic answer. Now, just before we go, you and I used to hang out a bunch.
Yeah,
Last
we did.
split?
Absolutely, we
We
did.
were hanging out all the time. I
Yeah.
never see you now. We never get to talk.
Oh, look, I'm a busy man now.
Yeah, you've become more successful and left.
Oh, look, not quite. Not yet, but hopefully after a few more weeks, we'll be doing a little better.
I just want to say that no one has ever topped the just inane bullshit that you and I used to talk about during League games. So,
Hey, we came up with some good stuff, good content.
oh, totally.
Yeah.
And you're missed in the room upstairs, but I'm happy to see you playing so well,
Absolutely.
succeeding so much,
Thank you
and
so much.
I wish you the best for the rest of the split, mate.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back right after this break.
level 6. Junglers are going to hit in the river.
Yeah, both at the same time, but Spooks is out here first. Ultimatum is cast on to Spooks, but just trading blows. But eventually, Sejuani's just going to catch up with you with the stuns. First blood comes in for the jungler. Tally getting chased down as well. Shot coming in from the bottom side. Trying to turn this one around. He wants a kill in return, but commits into a 2.
Still is flanking. Nautilus ulti taken.
Oh, Swiftness used, and Gunkrab almost completely killed out just from the distortions here. Has to leave the support. Buying some time with the stopwatch, though, and Dream takes 2 big tower shots. In comes Miru. Chippy's here as well. Tags Spooks with the prison, and Shock is above them. This could go real bad very quickly. Here comes the ultimatum. It's a bit of a scrum right here into the jungle. Dreams flashes away. He's still alive. Shock looking to follow after. Can't get the bomb out. And Tally trading off against Miru. He's going to chase down Sejuani. Shock getting turned around. They're going to wait out the ultimate right here before finishing them off. And that was an absolute disaster out from AV. And he has the ability to do so. Jake, flash forward, gets the charm onto the bottom lane right here. Reaction of the Zen ultimate. Aladoric kiting away, but Shock is just going to get killed on the spot. Miru, Chippy's backing away. But Order in a great situation. They got the track down, the chain comes out, and the follow-up CC. They'll take down the jungler and the mid.
Attack right now. Miru trying to defend.
It's a 1 versus 3 for this Sejuani. He's got 5 seconds left on the bottom lane, though. The jungler goes down. Nexus turret dead. Onto the Nexus. Here comes Gunkrab and Aladoric. I don't think they've got enough time.
At Macca's, our burgers are now hotter, juicier, and tastier, with onions added